this has been a fundamental exercise in my schooling of Igor. He can get a little bit strong, a bit keen, so I tend to put some structure into our work for the jumping flat work. And I do this by 4 poles, cantering around. It really helps him with the straightness, and it gives me a measure if he's drifting out or in, and it really makes me ride leg to hand because I have to push him around the square, and then I find he's much softer. It also gives me a better quality canter because he's more engaged. I've got this structure of the square. I've then decided to put in sort of a jumping exercise, which is 3 poles on a circle, and they're 10 feet middle to middle apart. They happen to be symmetrical, or I prefer them to be symmetrical from the last pole of the 3 poles to the first pole of the next exercise. So they're on a set distance. What I really love about this exercise is you keep going round, so you get a consequence of whatever you do. So if you get a bit carried away or you get a bit backwards, you then start to change the number of strides between the poles. So you want them to be the same both sides. I like this because I have to work on being in the middle and being straight over the poles. If I go too far to the outside, obviously the distance is long. If I go too far to the inside, the distance is short. It makes me think about how I'm sat. In other words, if I'm sat centrally. Also about whether he's able, is he drifting one way or the other, and is he able to stay straight on a bending line. Again, so I come to the square. I use that for transition as well to be able to help improve his collection. And then again, his engagement, picking up walk to canter. You can use this however you wish. But for me, with this horse, as I say, it just helps me keep him a bit more organised, more connected, work on the structure. So I don't think about the poles to start with. I'm just thinking about riding around this turn and making sure that his canter is as organised as I can be. And then put it again into a test on the 3 poles on a turn. I have to really look for my distance. I have to really feel the canter and ride the line. So I'm always working on riding him forwards around the turn and trying to be able to keep him as consistent as possible through it. Noticing if he's drifting left or right and improving that as I'm going. So it's great to be able to cover a multitude of things because obviously you're practicing seeing a stride at the same time and practicing counting. I'm counting in my head and trying to read the distance. So it's a really good way to be able to improve lots of things. And of course, some flat work at the end in your transition, and always finish with praise.